Hi, Arne here. I'm about to do one of my least favorite things, and that's pull this toilet. We've been having issues with it for weeks now. We've gone back and forth with this toilet, flushing, not flushing, getting plugged up, plunging it clear, using an auger, and it keeps plugging up. So I suspect that there is something jammed up in there, like a pencil or a pen, or I don't even want to guess. Yep.
Buckle up for safety as I give you a day in the life of facilities maintenance.
With these toilets, the first thing I do is cover up R2-D2 here. Otherwise, it's going to keep opening and closing in my face. And that's not enjoyable.
Step 1 is always shut off the water at the water supply line.
Get as much of the water out of there as I can. And I was hoping that there was going to be an outlet in here. Some of the bathrooms have electrical outlets in them. Some of them don't. Because I want to vacuum the water out of the toilet tank. So I'll have to go get an extension cord. Well, that's got everything good and dry now. There's no water left in the bowl. There's no water left in the tank. So I can remove this without making a gigantic mess.
In fact, using this vacuum method works so well that most of the time you don't even have to use a towel to wipe up any water afterwards. I'm using a 1/2-inch wrench to remove the nuts on these flange bolts. They'll usually be 1/2 inch or 9/16. You may find, though, that the edge of the bolt is sharp because it has been cut off, and the nut might fight you a little bit in order to get it all the way off. Sometimes you have to pull up on it while you're turning it.
Okay, there's nothing down there, so the issue is not there. Meaning I have to turn this toilet upside down or on its side. And for that, I gotta get out of this little bathroom stall.
And what you can't see right now is I'm actually holding the toilet on edge. There, you can see it on edge. The reason is because I know there's wax stuck on the bottom of this toilet, and I don't want to smear it all over the floor.
There it is. You can't see it from this view. Let's go in for a closer look. What do we have? Yep. Somebody threw a tampon down here, and that caused us all kinds of grief. And what's dumb about this is we've got R2-D2 sitting right beside the toilet to throw these things away properly. I know I might be coming off a little harsh, but at the same time, I look at the big picture and I go, this little tampon that was thrown into the toilet when it didn't have to be, should never be, has cost us hundreds of dollars in hours between myself doing this job, between the custodians unplugging this toilet probably a dozen times over the last couple weeks. It's just been a waste of time and money, all because somebody didn't pay attention and throw the thing away properly. So all that's left now is to clean off the old wax, put a new wax seal in there, and I think one other thing that I'm going to do, because when you install a toilet, you very often cut off these flange bolts. I'm gonna get a file. I'm gonna file the top edge of those just to create a little bit of a chamfer on the side of that so that the nut goes off and on a little easier.
This is a part of the job where I have to exercise the most patience because everything in me wants to just get the toilet back in and installed and I can walk away. But I have to take my time and clean up the old mess before installing the new mess.
This is the goopiest, stickiest wax you will ever find. You know, when I said ow, I just caught my glove on the edge of this flange bolt. It was cut off and has a sharp edge to it. And I almost cut myself. Well, I did, a little bit, but not deep enough to go through all 7 layers of skin.
So what I'm dropping in here right now is a new wax seal. If you look on the box, it actually says to stick this to the bottom of the toilet, which is doable. But you will see in a moment why I prefer to do it this way in this kind of application. As for what I'm doing now, sticking pieces of masking tape on the floor, that will also reveal itself in a moment.
The toilet and the tank together are kind of heavy.
So, because I'm maneuvering both a toilet and a tank, it's heavy, and because I am shuffling into a narrow stall, and because my back is not great, I can't just carry it straight in all the way and set it down on top of where it needs to go. Hence, I put the wax seal on the floor first. As for the tape markings, you can't see the bolt holes while you are standing over and holding the toilet very well. What the tape does is it gives me alignment marks for the flange bolts, because you don't want to mess around with the wax seal. You want to line it up perfectly and put it straight on, one and done. The less messing around you can do, the better for the seating of the toilet and the centering of the wax seal. And speaking of seating the wax seal, the best way to do that is to just sit on the toilet.
So, the previous installer didn't have this bolt tightened up enough. I retightened it so it's properly tight, and it's sticking up too high to put the cap on, which is why I'm cutting it off again. I say again because it's been cut off once before by the original installer. Okay, that's better.
And so you can see here that I needed to cut about 1/4 inch of the bolt off in order to get the white cap to fit.
And yes, I know I should be wearing rubber gloves, but I've wrecked all the ones that I brought, and I don't want to go back to my office and get another pair.
I'm just cleaning things up a little bit, wiping off some of that wax, which is pretty goopy and will ooze up out of orifices. And finally, a little bit of silicone around the base to reseal things, and it also helps basically glue the toilet to the floor, so there's much less chance of it moving around after the fact. As I'm sitting here editing this video, I'm kind of digging this soft jazz vibe I've got going on in the background. I find it kind of soothing in a Charlie Brown kind of way.
Well, you can't see what I did on the other side of the toilet. I was pushing the bead as opposed to dragging it back, which actually works better because the left side I can leave it, this right side I have to clean up with my finger. I also don't silicone seal the whole way around. I leave a little gap at the back so that if the toilet does leak, water's got someplace to go, and then you know it's leaking. Otherwise, it just goes down through the floor into the space below, and that's worse. And again, I should have a glove. There we go.
Just have to remember not to rub my eyes or eat anything until I've thoroughly washed my hands. I also prefer to use clear silicone around the base for what I would think would be obvious reasons. The bowl is filling up nicely, which is a clue that things are actually not obstructed in there. And that's a good flush.
Even when I cover R2-D2 with a cloth, it still knows I'm here. It's a smart little droid.
My work here is finished. Well, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you learned something. Hope you learned how to remove and replace a toilet. Hope you learned that it's not a good idea to flush things down the toilet that don't belong there. See you next time.